Good morning, and welcome to Bad Hikes. Today's day 97, and I've had a time. So I'm going to tell you what happened. So essentially, if you missed yesterday's video, I abruptly had to get off trail because I became violently ill. So, to make a long story as short as I can, I was on trail. I walked off trail to get to a barbecue place, ended up being closed, and I didn't have any food on me. So I kept walking down this road, made it to a gas station, had lunch at the gas station, left. As I'm walking back to trail, I start feeling a little queasy, and I was like, ooh, I ate too fast. Like, it'll be fine. I'll just take it slow. Should be okay. So I go a few miles. I'm still feeling gross. So I have a TMI for the rest of this story. So anywho, so a few miles down the trail, I had an emergency. I have to poop. It was an emergency. So I get off in the brush, take care of business. Unpleasant. And I was like, oh, it's over. That'll make me feel better. Did not make me feel better. Spoiler alert. So I get down to this cabin. There's a cabin on trail, and people can rent it. It's not a shelter, but it's right on the trail. And on Far Out, it explicitly says do not camp here. This is not an AT shelter, blah, blah, blah. So I get down there, and there's 3 guys sitting around a fire pit. I'm I'm just going to sit and drink some water. I'm still not feeling too great. So I go sit with them, drink some water. And I was like, hey, does your cabin have a bathroom? They're like, no, it doesn't have anything. There's a privy out back. And I was like, okay. So I get my stuff and I start feeling horrendous. So I get up to the privy and I was like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to throw up. And the privy wasn't a great privy. So I end up getting sick, outside of the privy, just in the woods. So all of that good food, gone. And then I don't feel better. Normally when it's something you eat, you kind of feel okay, after it's out of you. So I go back and sit down, and the guys are like, oh, stay with us. You can stay with us. It's fine, till you get feeling better, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, maybe. Whatever. Still not feeling great. Not 5 minutes later, I don't even make it back up to the privy. I start getting sick again. And it's uncontrollable bad. So I go up to these guys. I was like, I'm so sorry. I cannot be here anymore. And this guy was like, I'll drive you to town. So I get a literal Walmart sack, get my stuff, get into this guy's car. He takes me to town. I don't have any service, I should mention at this point. So I'm continuing to throw up inside this Walmart bag in this man I don't know's car. But he gets me to an urgent care. So as soon as I step out of his car, I immediately collapse, all fours on the sidewalk outside of this urgent care, heaving chunks. It was a low moment, to say the least. So they roll out a wheelchair, get me in the wheelchair, get me checked in. I'm heaved over, I can't sit up. It's bad. So they get me back. I'm still throwing up. They take my vitals. It's not good. Essentially, it's not good. I made another bathroom trip. I will not elaborate. But it was not good. Nurse had to get me off the floor of the bathroom. I was in a really bad place. So eventually they get me some anti-nausea medicine, the kind that melts under your tongue and works real fast. And then that stops the throwing up. So now I'm horrendously dehydrated. So they put an IV in me. They put a whole bag of fluids in me. And it's still I could still drink more water. So this very, very kind nurse helps me. And they essentially determined that it was from a water source that I had used. Because if it was something I ate, just like I had said, like if I had gotten it out of me, pretty much that's that at that point. And I've had food poisoning before, so that's been my experience. So apparently I got from a bad water source. I did have to use a kind of sketchy water source the night before. But I trusted my filter like I always do, because I always filter, always, because they asked me that. Trying to explain that I was doing the AT was a little difficult at first, because a couple of the nurses didn't know what the AT was, and one of them finally, they had family members who had done it, so I guess she explained to the others. But they finally understood, why I couldn't call anybody. They're like, do you have anybody in the area? I was like, no. Or they're like, the guy that brought you in. I was like, I don't know him. So they were real confused. And I was like, I'm from Kentucky. I don't know anyone in Pennsylvania. Blah, 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 blah. But they got it eventually. So I start feeling better. By better, I mean, I stopped hurling. And so I have no way to get anywhere. So I was like, I have to stay at a hotel. I cannot go back to trail. So apparently this very kind gentleman who brought me into town got me a room at a Best Western, which is where I'm sitting right now, nearby. So bless him. He got me a room and made sure I was okay. And then he went back to his cabin. I've messaged him, but I haven't heard anything back, obviously, because he's at the cabin. But this very, very, very kind nurse offers me a ride, because, they're about to close anyways. So a very, very kind nurse offers me to take me to the Best Western, make sure I get there okay. So they send me off with some of the anti-nausea pills that they gave me there, and instructions to, if I'm still feeling bad, if I can't keep food down, if I can't stay hydrated, call 911, you need to go to the emergency room. So very kind nurse takes me to the Best Western. I make it here. I still feel kind of awful, just very weak, obviously. My stomach is all out of whack, but I didn't get sick anymore. I bought some Gatorade and water from the front desk, so I tried to stay hydrated. And then today I feel much better. much, much better. So I had some toast this morning. I'm trying to eat very safe foods. So I've eaten, I've drank, keeping stuff down. So that's very, very good. So we're going to chalk it up to bad water. So here's what I have done to try to rectify that situation today, because I still feel pretty weak. Apparently there's no Uber in this town, or taxis, or anything. There is no sort of transportation if you do not own a car. Which, welcome to America, I guess. Because there's a Walmart Supercenter 0.7 away. So I was like, okay, I feel like crap. There's no rides. I'll just walk. I get to the road. It's a very busy highway that's under construction. So I can't walk. So I cannot get to the store to get anything. Any food, anything. So a very kind gentleman from the front desk who's getting off of his shift gives me a ride to Walmart. So I go to Walmart. I got crackers and soup and Gatorade and water and all that good stuff. But I also got a new water filter. Now I use the Be Free. Walmart does not sell the Be Frees. They sell Sawyers, which is fine. I have a Sawyer at home. It works great. I have nothing against Sawyer. So I've got the Sawyer. I have to use the bags it comes with for now, which aren't the best, but when I run into an outfitter, I'll replace them. So I've got a brand new water filter. I am throwing away both my water bottles. I'm throwing away my hydration hose, which I'm a little sad about, but I don't want to feel like that ever, ever, ever again. So anything that touched that contaminated water is gone. So I threw all that away, new water filter. I also got myself a new pair of underwear and a new pair of shorts. My shorts were too big. They're just too big because I've lost an unhealthy amount of weight out here, and the whole, heaving up everything inside of me and not being able to keep much down after that's not going to help the weight situation. So that's not good. So I got myself a pair of smaller shorts, so at least I have something to wear. What else did I get there? Oh, I got myself a little travel kit, like with nice shampoo and a new toothbrush, because that also touched the water. I'm now very paranoid. I'm going to be so paranoid about water from now on. It's going to be insane. But I've got all my new things, and I'm just trying to recover. So here's the plan. I had already had a hotel booked for tomorrow in the next town up, and that's where my new hip belt is. So I have scheduled a ride with Lyft for tomorrow. And we're going to pray that a driver comes to get me, and it wasn't like today, or like I'm in a college town. Like I'm in a college town with like tons of restaurants and stores and things, and I just cannot believe there's no taxi service, no nothing. Like I didn't tell you how I got back from Walmart. Let me back up a little. I got all my things from Walmart, and then same thing happened. I couldn't get a ride. There was no answer. I called the taxi service that the Best Western people recommended. Again, they still told me there was no drivers. So I went to customer service. I was like, hey, weird question. Is there any ride service in this town that I can use? I'm just around the corner. I don't have a car. And I was explaining this to them, and they like laughed in my face. They laughed in my face, and they were like, we have horse and buggies in our parking lot. We don't have any of the ride things here. And they were literally laughing at me. And I was like, okay, like, there's any ideas, like anything? They were like, no. So I just like went back around with my cart full of Gatorade and stuff, and I couldn't walk on the road. I was like, I'm going to be trapped. So I was trying Uber again. And I was just standing by the entrance, and I was like, I'm going to have to like start begging people for a ride back, or like call Best Western and beg one of the employees to come get me, because I'm like running out of options here. So one of the ladies that was at the customer service walked past me, and she was like, oh, did you get a ride? I was like, no. And I was about to start like bawling, crying. And she was like, come on, I'm getting off work. So she gave me a ride back to the Best Western. So I've had 3 separate trail angels who know nothing about the AT give me rides. So I'm very thankful for that, but it was kind of a fiasco. But tomorrow, the plan is for Lyft to do their scheduled ride. Please, dear God. Otherwise, I'm going to be... That's like a long ride, too. Like, it's going to be an expensive Lyft. But I need to go get my belt there. And they're not going to hold it if I don't stay there. And I've already booked the stay. Like, it's like a whole thing. So now I'm going to switch hotels, take another 0, which I need. Like, I need to stay off trail for a little bit to help myself heal. But that's the goal for tomorrow. So hopefully that will be okay. Otherwise, I'm going to be, like, begging people on the internet. Be like, does anyone live in Pennsylvania? Please come get me. Oh, gosh. So that's that. That's my story time of the day. So it's really throwing off my plans. But I wasn't hiking with anybody anyways. I'm all by myself again. So nobody's like dragged down with me, which I guess is good. But hopefully that means maybe taking these 0s, I'll like bump into a group and like be able to buddy up with somebody or a group of people, which would be nice. Because I'm almost officially halfway. I would have hit it today if I wasn't, horrendously sick. But the idea of doing the second half of the trail by myself is not appealing at all to me. I realized I really thrive having a buddy, having a tramily, as it were. And I don't do well when I'm by myself. Apparently I pick sketchy water sources when I'm by myself and get horrendously sick. But I'm just so lucky I was near somebody with a car. Like, if that had happened to me at a shelter in the middle of nowhere, like, I would have been pressing my SOS button on my Garmin. Like, it was bad. I have never been so physically ill in my entire life. Ever. It was horrendous. But feeling better, not feeling great, but feeling much better. So I'm going to go eat some of the chicken noodle soup that I bought for myself and drink my 15th Gatorade of the day. Not 15th. I need to drink more of them. But more Gatorades, and fingers crossed for me tomorrow that I can get a ride to the other hotel, and then I can somehow get a ride back to trail. It's going to be tomorrow Bad Bat's problem. Today, Bad Bat is going to try to eat things and take another nap, maybe. I've already had one. And sleep all night long and just try to rest up, because I need to be completely healed by the time I get back out on trail. And spoiler alert, I'm definitely not doing the half-gallon challenge now. The idea of doing that now makes me ill again. I might do a 1 pint challenge. We'll see. So if you want to see what happens and follow along on my AT journey, make sure to subscribe. I also have an Instagram account, but for now, happy trails!